The Treaty of Versailles.
World War I was one of the most destructive wars in history. There were around 8.5 million casualties and hundreds of acres of land precious to people were lost.
World War I was also the main war that chemical warfare was used, such as mustard gas, which is known to be one of the most inhumane warfare techniques.
The Treaty of Versailles was signed on June 28, 1919, 7 months after the actual end of World War I. The reason it is called the Treaty of Versailles is because the meeting place to discuss the treaty was done in the Versailles Palace, the only place fast enough to have all the delegates in one room.
Every delegate felt that Germany should be handled differently. Clemenceau, or however you say it, the delegate from France, believed that Germany should be destroyed for all the damages it caused to France in a way of retaliation. David Lloyd George, delegate from England, wanted to punish Germany so bad that they would never be able to rise up and cause anything like this again. Woodrow Wilson from the United States wanted to form a League of Nations.
These three men are known as the Big Three because their three opinions on what fate should fall upon Germany were the most agreed upon all the delegates.
Linked to the Big Three was Vittorio Orlando, delegate from Italy, but he was often left on the sidelines whenever important negotiations took place. This was so because Italy was to join Germany and Austria and form a triple alliance at the beginning of the war. Italy didn't do so until 1915 and joined Britain at that time. But the association with Germany in the beginning was enough to make Italy tainted in the Big Three's eyes.
The treaty consists of 15 parts and 440 articles. However, the treaty can be broken down into 4 main parts if you remember these 4 letters, TMFG.
These letters stand for territory, military, financial, and guilt.
Territory. The Treaty of Versailles created completely new nations and destroyed some old ones. Land that Germany stole from countries such as France and Denmark were given back, along with new land handed out, such as Strelfland given to Czechoslovakia and Alsace-Lorraine given to France. This treaty made it so the Austro-Hungarian Empire and Ottoman Empire completely destroyed and disbanded.
New countries such as Lithuania and Estonia were formed from the land Germany was forced to give back after they stole it from Russia.
Military. The treaty made it so Germany's army was reduced to only 100,000 men, and they weren't allowed any massive military weapons like tanks. Their navy also suffered a huge drawback, only being allowed 6 naval ships and absolutely no submarines. This was so because unrestricted submarine warfare was one of Germany's main tactics during World War I.
Financial. The treaty caused it so Germany had a serious economic downfall. They were called to pay all war damage reparations, adding up to $33 billion US. Fun fact, Germany finally finished paying off the debt in 2010, around 90 years after the actual war ended.
Guilt. It was collectively decided among the delegates that Germany were the ones who caused the war, so they were forced to admit fault to all of the war, known as the War Guilt Clause. They had to take on full responsibility for everything that happened in the war, including damages done by the Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires.
Wilson's 14 points consisted of different ways to make sure that World War would never happen again. He stressed that secret treaties should be avoided, and new countries should try to reduce their military weapons and push the idea to eliminate chemical warfare.
The final decision on the Treaty of Versailles left all delegates satisfied except for Germany's. France felt that Germany was destroyed, Britain felt that they would never be able to rise to power again, and the League of Nations was formed. However, Germany was excluded from it, which was not one of Woodrow Wilson's intentions.
The treaty was also thought to help control communist rise by using Germany as a buffer zone from Russia to the rest of Western Europe, something the U.S. in particular was extremely worried about.
Other mini-treaties were signed by other nations who were accused of aiding Germany in World War I. Like Austria had to sign the Treaty of Saint-Germain, and Hungary had to sign the Treaty of Trianon. But neither treaty was as restrictive and destructive as the Treaty of Versailles was to Germany.
Unfortunately, the rise of Hitler, the Treaty of Versailles was quickly renounced. Germany found ways to have well over 100,000 soldiers and build massive military weapons in secret, all leading up to World War II, the one thing that no one wanted to happen. World War II resulted in no peace and more deaths.
The end.